Yo, what is good YouTube? Matty Dubs here, back with another video, guys, and we have some more breaking news, notes, highlights, observations from another day here in New York for Giants training camp. In this video, I want to talk about some guys who have really shot their stock up, but also some guys who have not been good so far in camp going into the start of the preseason. A lot of guys either have to make up ground or just continue playing the way they have been, and they will be locks to make the roster. So I'm going to go over a couple of those guys on both sides, good and bad. So make sure you guys stick around for the video to hear about all the guys doing good and bad throughout training camp so far. However, before we get into the video, do me a favor and smash that like button just so we can get this video out to more Giants fans around the world. But also subscribe to the channel if you're new, because I will be covering the entirety of the NFL offseason, which includes signings, training camp, trades, preseason, regular season, everything you could think of. I've got you guys covered, as well as live streaming some Giants games in the future. So make sure you guys join the family if you haven't already done so. But without any further ado, let's get into the video. So we all know that the start of preseason is less than a week away for the Giants, and their first game day is coming up here relatively soon. I believe they're going to have a joint practice with the Lions over the next few days here, so that should be very telling as well in terms of getting some new, fresh competition out there with some guys. But let's talk about a couple of guys who have looked really good throughout the entirety of training camp so far and have really had their stock risen over the past few weeks. Now, the first one is Trey Hawkins. I brought him up a bunch in my videos so far. A rookie, a 6th-round draft pick out of Old Dominion. Size, the physicality. He could be a man cover corner in this league. I feel like he's going to be, heavily involved into their scheme for the start of the season. I don't think he's going to be a day one starter. I mean, he could be if Deonte Banks continues to struggle, but I think Trey Hawkins is a guy who they love, and he continues to shine throughout training camp so far. And I think as, defensive coordinator Mark Wendell, I think, he has been raving about Trey Hawkins, and I think that is only going to continue over the next couple of days here of training camp. Now, another guy who's looked pretty good is Darian Beavers, a second-year linebacker, picked up where he left off last year, and is continuing to have a great camp. He's gonna have to show it in preseason and regular season if he wants to have a big role going into this season. But I think he could definitely be a guy that they put a lot of faith in going into next season. Now, another guy, Jalin Hyatt, man. Jalin Hyatt, another rookie, has been the star of camp. Him and Darren Waller have been, amazing. There was, for the first couple of days in training camp, Hyatt looked okay, but then he flipped a switch, man. Really flipped the script, and now he's been amazing. I mean, he is just, the speed is electric. I mean, he's just running away from defensive backs, and they cannot catch him. So Jalin Hyatt is a guy I think will be heavily involved in this offense for the start of the season. I don't know who he's going to replace in the starting lineup, but I think he definitely could, make his way into the starting role on this offense. Now, another rookie, I mean, they did had a great draft, because John Michael Schmitz is another guy who looks to be on track for a week 1 start, and I wouldn't be surprised either. He's just been looking so good, and which just tells us right away this Giants GM and the front office over here had a great draft. I mean, Trey Hawkins, Jalin Hyatt, John Michael Schmitz, that is potential 3 starters. Even with Deonte Banks, that's 3 potential starters coming out from the draft this early. I mean, very, very intriguing, very interesting, and very fun to see. I talked about Darren Waller throughout the entirety of training camp so far. The man is electric. Man is athletic freak, and just a guy who can go up and get any single ball, and he's probably going to be one of the major focal points of this offense next season. So that's another guy. Saquon's look good. Darius Slayton's look really good as well. Sterling Shepard coming off his injury, he looks good. And then Tyree Phillips is a guy who did a nice job last season at tackle, filling in for some injuries. He's also having a pretty good camp as well, so I think he's going to make the roster. But more importantly, or maybe not more importantly, but let's go into some of the guys who maybe have been struggling over the last couple of days here of Giants training camp. And the start of Darnell Holmes, man, they've been trying to move him in and out of different positions here over the last couple of days, and it's kind of not been working. They've even tried to put new guys in his spot, and it's not motivating him too much. He's a guy that I think will make the team as a former 4th-round pick back in 2020, but I just don't really know. They could cut him to save some money. I mean, he hasn't been great at all. He's been letting up a lot of touchdowns, just letting up catches, so we'll see what he does, and especially with the rise of a guy like Trey Hawkins, and they've been using Adoree Jackson a lot of times as well. I feel like this could open up the ability for them to just say, okay, let's just cut ties and open up some cap space, maybe add to a different position group. So that is definitely a thing that we have to look or keep an eye on going forward. We'll see if he continues to get better. Bobby McCain, another guy they brought in through free agency. I think he might have lost his starting spot to Jason Pinnock over the last couple of days. I mean, we remember the first couple of days of practice, Pinnock was absolutely breaking out, had a crazy one-handed interception. And now Bobby McCain, who probably signed over here as a starting safety, is looking like he might be taking a back seat to Jason Pinnock. So we'll see what happens there. Rodarius Williams is a bit surprising. I don't know what's going on with him, but he's hasn't had too much playing time throughout training camp so far. We'll see what he does. And then that's pretty much it. Everyone else has been looking pretty good, but those are some names I just wanted to note to you guys real quick. Darnay Holmes, it's very interesting to see how, I guess how bad he's been so far. We'll see if he can get better here over the next few days. But right now, it's very in question whether he'll be on this team for the start of the season or not. But the good news for him is he's got a lot of time to make up, man. He's got the preseason games and the rest is training camp. So we'll see what happens with him. Guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, join the family, turn on post notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Today's video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. And if you love playing fantasy sports like football, basketball, baseball, and so many other sports, but also love being able to win money, you're going to want to stick around for this whole segment. Introducing Underdog Fantasy, the ultimate platform for fantasy sports lovers. Do you want to experience the thrill of drafting your team and competing for huge prizes? Well, look no further. With Underdog Fantasy, you get access to a wide range of fantasy sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and so much more. But here's what makes Underdog Fantasy stand out from all of those other apps. They've got quick and user-friendly drafting process, a unique and exciting game formats, fair and competitive contests for all skill levels, and attractive bonuses and promotions. Not only can you draft teams and compete with others, but you can also play a game of higher and lower, which is personally my favorite thing to do on there, but you can potentially win 20 times the money you put down. And if you use code MattyDubs when you sign up, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. And what that means is basically when you deposit, let's say $100, they'll give you a free $100 to use and play with. Click the link in the description to get started, or head to the website right now to start dominating the fantasy world. And don't miss out on all the fun. Be a part of the Underdog community starting now. And don't forget, if you use code MattyDubs, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Let's get started. Get into drafts with me starting today.